Hi there, I am standing on the shores of Lake Erie at the former Erie Beach, one of Canada's most historical sites. With that said, last year we shot a video called Niagara's Most Haunted Self-Tour Ghost Walk. Well, guess what? Deja vu. All over again. History repeating itself, pun intended. This time, we are still starting in Fort Erie, but we are going to go westward, and I am going to bring you some of the coolest haunted historical places that we shot years ago. So once again, in your free time or in your boredom, if you feel like getting out and checking out some of these cool historical places that are supposedly haunted, or at least there's myths surrounding their hauntings, go for it. So, this place here, Erie Beach, now known as Waverly Beach, has been said to have been haunted back in the day. You see, when it was Erie Beach at the end of the 1800s, going into the 1900s when the park eventually died out, folks used to report seeing apparitions. But get this, they were the apparitions of soldiers from the War of 1812. A really cool place that after the Americans burned Fort Erie, that is Old Fort Erie, to the ground, one of the first people to come and check it out for himself was the great Mark Twain. Today, people still report seeing apparitions of ghosts or hearing disembodied voices, spirits. The only way to find out for yourself is definitely come and check it out. So, with that said, we will go off to our next location, Crystal Beach bound. Okay folks, we've made it to our next location, which is Crystal Beach, down the road from Erie Beach. Crystal Beach was a wonderful amusement park that coexisted literally at the same time as Erie Beach, but then eventually went out of business in 1989. Some people blame Canada's Wonderland for that, but who knows. So behind me, that used to be where the amusement park used to be. So what's really interesting is back in the day when Crystal Beach was open, they believed that it was haunted. We did research years ago for Niagara's Most Haunted and looked at, was there really roller coaster accidents or any sort of accidents that way that created ghosts, but couldn't find anything other than, I believe it was 1 or 2 deaths. But that's not what people saw. Much like Erie Beach, where we just came from, folks used to see over the existence of Crystal Beach the ghosts of soldiers from the War of 1812, go figure. So imagine being on the Comet roller coaster, which in itself could make a ghost out of a person, literally kill you. It was that terrifying. So folks would be on a roller coaster or a Ferris wheel looking around and all of a sudden seeing a soldier. Ghost of a soldier, that is. So today it is condos and redeveloped, and who knows whether there's ghosts or not here, but a cool place to come check out, especially for the history. There's some really cool places in the town of Crystal Beach, not to mention a gorgeous beach itself. So we'll go to our next location, which is just up the road from Crystal Beach. So I am sitting out front of the Crystal Chandelier, an amazing restaurant and tavern in Crystal Beach. A few years ago we filmed a really cool episode called Spirits and Spice, as we were invited to come and look at the history of this amazing restaurant, but also the fact that it had some really cool ghost stories. Owned by Carol Mackay and her family, it is a great place to come and listen to music, enjoy great food, great friends. That is once everything opens up again, but especially check out some of the history in this amazing building, and maybe Carol will tell you a ghost story or two.
I've owned this for 15 years, and it was an antique market when I bought it. It was here for quite a long time. Before that, it was a garage service station, and many other things in between. Restaurants, bars, cafes. I ran with a family business, a health food store for over 30 years. And I always liked people and music and wine. And so I thought a little cafe would do me well. And I've met an awful lot of people, nice people, through the years, and I like the business. Well, my brother-in-law, when we were first renovating, he asked me the name, and I had all these chandeliers that I had collected, and I said, I'm not sure what I'm going to name it. And he started singing the Crystal Chandelier by, I forget his name. Because I'm on tape now, I can't remember. And so that's how we got the name. And I guess the theme would be just eclectic music and friendly people, friendly atmosphere, relaxing, and good food. The musical acts, we have jazz, blues, rhythm and blues, all sorts. It's all very good quality music, and we usually have bands Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, with the exception of the slow time, winter time. We have, there's so many actually. We've had dishes flying off shelves in the kitchen, the alarm system going off in a row 4 or 5 times for no reason. We've had people, customers, asking if this place was haunted because they have these feelings, and we've had customers who've felt a tap on the back when no one was there, and shadows, but nothing mean, or just someone friendly here.
Well, there's been a couple of different times. It actually just happened like a little while ago. I was in the kitchen and I was going to come out into the bar, and I thought someone walked by, and when I came out, there was no one there. So then I realized that it must have been a shadow, because I went around to investigate to see who was inside the restaurant, and no one was here. So I believe that it was someone here, and spirit-wise. So my girlfriend was here, her and her husband, and they were having dinner, and when he went to go finish eating, he realized that the knife was facing at him instead of facing straight where you would have your knives and forks and stuff, and realized that the knife was turned around. They did feel that maybe that there was someone there. They felt kind of like a presence with something, but it was weird that the knife got turned around when he looked down at his plate. They didn't see it actually move or anything, but it was facing the other way.
So I'm standing on the main drag in Ridgeway, Ridge Road here, which is a really cool place. Years ago we filmed what Niagara's most haunted on the entire town of Ridgeway, being semi or quasi haunted, or having some really cool ghost stories. So one of the places that we had filmed that was behind me at the old pharmacy, where we were allowed to go through the floor in the pharmacy down below, because there's tunnels that exist below the ground here, and folks had said over the years they reported apparitions and really cool bizarre stuff. Not to really go in anywhere here, but more walking around to check things out for yourself. Obviously you're not going to go into people's private businesses and go ghost hunting, but rather walking around the main drag here and the street and getting a taste of history, getting a taste of what is around here. And as I said years ago when we were filming here at various locations, because several of them were people's private homes, there is some really cool paranormal activity in some of these places that teams of investigators that we brought in, you know, they were curious about it themselves and they were actually picking stuff up. But we will go to a place that has a really cool history, the Legion, which is around the corner. Okay, I am standing at the Legion in Ridgeway. As I was saying, at our last location, we had filmed here several years back, as we did a whole documentary on the town of Ridgeway, because it had some historical context, obviously, with the Fenian raid, and then prior to that there was some stuff with the War of 1812. But folks over the years have reported seeing these apparitions, whether they be ghost soldiers, some have even seen ghost dogs. But this was one of the cooler places that we came and filmed inside, because there was a history of different shenanigans going on that the manager of the Ridgeway Legion had told us about, including one of the cool places was the elevator, where supposedly there was, I believe it was a child that was in the elevator, a ghost of a child, making the elevator go up and down and playing these kinds of little games.
Since before 1932, the actual building was given to the Legion back in 1932 when it was told to become a Legion. There was an extension built on it. As far as what it was used for before it was a Legion, I don't know, because I don't have history records that far back. But we've had some very interesting incidences here as far as paranormal. Actually, the most interesting part's the elevator, because you can be sitting in the banquet hall, or you can be sitting down here in the canteen, and all of a sudden the elevator just visits you. The door opens long enough for somebody to get off, the door closes, and the elevator goes back to wherever it wants to go. And we'll do this several times in the day. Our little encounters are always friendly. And I think the best one was this afternoon. I was standing there talking to two people at the bar, and all of a sudden this little ceramic bowl that we have sitting on one of the tables flew across the table, landed on the floor, and broke the tail off, and it's just, nobody was over there, nobody was sitting at that table, and this little guy just flew through the air.
So anyways, that is the Ridgeway Legion. Cool place to check out and visit. So we will go to our next location, which is pretty further down the road, down to Port Colborne. See you soon. Okay folks, I'm at our next location, Hopkins Tomb, which is behind me here on Lakeshore in Port Colborne. It is a very storied and fabled crypt where the famous Hopkins is buried. And supposedly legend has it and superstition has it that there's a curse to the tomb, that bad things have happened to people over the years. As you can see, I'm standing across the street. I am one that's not going to go and test any curses, myths, legends, or bad stuff.
Area to be creeped out is Hopkins Tomb. Hopkins Tomb being located between Waynfleet and Port Colborne, over at Oakwood Cemetery. Been there since 1899 for Mr. Sam Hopkins. Has always been a destination for a lot of the teenagers to go down and spend some time during Halloween night. I know as a youngster myself, I was one of those teenagers.
So anyways, that's Hopkins Tomb. We will go to our next location up the road.
The Roselawn Center was built in 1860, a three-story home of Upper Canadian Victorian architecture. It became the Port Colborne Club in 1957. The City of Port Colborne assumed operations for the building, and it is used for special events, as well as the Showboat Festival Theater. And oh yes, they also say that the building is haunted.
Not last summer, summer before for Showboat, I closed the house. I close the theater, and I go up the back stairs, which are dark, and I have a flashlight, and someone was coming down, and I thought, great, I've got somebody coming in late, so I put the flashlight up to help them see coming down, and it was, we call her Mrs. Carter. I have no idea who she is, but she was standing on the landing, just with her hands like that, just standing. And I stopped because I was startled, not afraid, just startled. And I put the flashlight down. When I put it back up, she was gone.
Haunted story, and I can tell many of them about this location, is the Roselawn Center. Roselawn being the home of our theater, as well as many other activities, the opera series, and other things that happen in our community. Roselawn's been there since 1860. It was a home, now as I said, a theater and the president's room and a restaurant and a bar, But nevertheless, when you spend some time in there at night, some weird things do happen, and it's happened to me in the past. As a former member of the Kinsman Club and being president, one of my tasks were after our meetings that we met at Roselawn for was to clean up the room. And one particular time, and this I'll never forget, because I've never been one to really believe in hauntings or things of that nature, but I tell you, after this night, it really changed my tune. I was cleaning up after everybody had left over at Roselawn, and by myself in this facility. It's a 3-story facility. It's a big old home, and cleaning up and putting the bell and the flags away and all the paperwork that we generated at the meeting, putting all that away. And I heard a little noise, and it sounded like a voice actually. And so I went out to the hallway and looked down the hallway and actually seen a door close, and could have swore I'd seen a footstep or a foot go into that door. Kind of shook it off, didn't think nothing of it, thought it was just a coincidence, and about half an hour later I was getting ready to leave and heard that same noise again. Went out into the hallway, seen the same door close, and seen the same foot go into that door before it was closing. Now, needless to say, very creeped out, and went home and quickly that facility. And the funniest part of the story, the most interesting part of the story, was the fact that about 2 weeks later, the manager of the Roselawn Center approached me and asked me if we had or needed use of the one room that she found unlocked after having been locked for 6 months. And I said to her, I says, no, why? She goes, well, the day after your meeting, the door was open, and we hadn't opened that door for the past 6 months. So, needless to say, once again, creeped out. And having said that, at the next Kinsman meeting, I made sure there were people around me so that we all walked out together, not just myself.
Behind me is the old mill in Port Colborne that has its own storied past. You see, back in the day, many, many, many decades ago, there was a massive fire that burned this mill. Since that fire, people have reported hearing the disembodied screams and voices of ghosts. Some claim that they have seen apparitions around this marina, but mostly hearing screams. I've always wondered, were they the screams of ghosts, disembodied spirits, or those that had just a little too much to drink on their boats? That is, being under the possession of a different sort of spirit, if you know what I mean. Off we go. Okay, I'm at our last location, the old Courthouse in Welland, Ontario. Several years back when we were doing Niagara's Most Haunted, we did a really cool shoot in here, looking at the old jail cells and looking at some of the nostalgia around this old courthouse. When Barry Sharp was the mayor of Welland, he invited us in to have a look at it and kind of talk about it and see if there really was anything. Of course, it's all up for debate as to whether there really are ghosts here. But one thing that is really cool is one of the greatest parts of Welland, the history of Welland, that exists in this old courthouse, the nostalgia of the old courthouse, and probably, if when you really think about it, one of the historical aspects of Canada still haunts the hallways of the old courthouse in Welland. So there you have it, folks. Our little tour across the western part of the Niagara region, the haunted historical places. As you can see, we ended up in Welland. So what better place to go after your tour than this wonderful Italian restaurant across the street called Matteo's. Matthew, great owner, great chef. He's got a great staff and definitely amazing lasagna and of course, their fired pizza. Hope you enjoyed the tour and I hope you check this place out and enjoy some pizza.